Man, I just realized I got something on my shirt, but I guess we got a lesson to do, so let's get to it. If you're pretty much allergic to music theory and you only learn one scale, this is the one to know. I used this very important scale in that little jam and it pretty much built rock music, and I'm talking about, of course, the Minor Pentatonic Scale. Hey, John here, and this is your Tuesday Blues, where each week we sit down for a guitar lesson to help you play the music you love, and I'm betting that the music you love at some point in some way uses the Minor Pentatonic Scale. It's super important, and yeah, I believe in studying music theory and all kinds of scales that will help you, make sense of the fretboard, learn faster, and ultimately be a better player. But if you don't care about any of that, then just learn this. Just learn this scale, the Minor Pentatonic Scale. It's that important. The Minor Pentatonic Scale cuts straight to the chase, and it puts the right tones under your fingers. And its simplicity is really one of the biggest reasons why I think us guitarists love this 5-note scale. But let's back up. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. What even is the Minor Pentatonic Scale? Well, it's simply an arrangement of 5 notes. And you can view it as coming from the major scale with some alterations here or there, coming from the minor scale with some alterations here or there, but we're going to cut straight through to the 5 notes that you need. And we're going to use our key of A as an example. And what you need to know is you're starting here. The A is the root note, and you move up to the minor third, just up 3 frets. If you're not familiar with any of that interval speak, just move up 3 frets. From there, we're going to cross the string, stay on that 5th fret, and come up. That's our 3rd note, and then our 4th note is here, up 2 frets, cross the string, and then come up 2 frets. So we've got these notes: root, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, flat 7, minor 7, and then the octave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes. All right? And the cool thing is this little pattern, we can take that thing for a spin all over the fretboard. Let's do that. If we start with another A, we can use that same 3 fret, 2 fret, and then 2 fret pattern with our fingers. But notice I did something there when I got to the 2nd string. I did that 2 fret deal, but I didn't go here. You can tell something's off. What I needed to do when I encountered the 2nd string is jump up a fret. Move everything up a fret when you get to the 2nd string. That is accounting for the different tuning interval of the 2nd string. Ever notice when you tune, it's like this? But then when you get here, you go back to the 4th fret. It's because it's tuned a major 3rd versus a perfect 4th apart. Weird. All right, but here's the fun part. We know we can take this pattern, start from any A, watch out for that 2nd string. I'm out of strings, but we could keep going if we had another string up there. But the fun part is really kind of related to what we talked about back in lesson number 317 when we talked about pivot points around caged shapes and how we can build a chord this way, viewing the root as our pivot point, and we can do it this way, viewing the root as our pivot point. We can do the same thing with scales, with these minor pentatonic scales as well. So we've got this. We'll call that the forward pattern because we're generally working this way toward the body of the guitar. We can do sort of a mirror image, if you will, and work that way toward the headstock. And it's the same set of tones, but the pattern looks different. The same interval pattern is there, so the jumps in between the notes. It's the same pattern musically, but we play it and it kind of moves backward toward the headstock versus up toward the body. And when you're talking about your fingers that fall in front of that index, here we're doing the opposite, using our pinky, in this case, is kind of that pivot point, and building the scale that way. And this is what we get. It doesn't have to be the pinky, it could be your ring finger. Sounds the same, same tones. All right, but notice now that we've got A minor pentatonic and a massive amount of the fretboard covered here. All right, and again, you can take this anywhere around the fretboard. We get deep into this in the Pentatonic Bootcamp courses inside the Premium Members Library, and it really helps to put this scale under your fingers really fast, and so you can start jamming and really even linking the patterns. That takes you to a whole another level. And really, I think this is one reason that us guitarists love this scale. For the most part, the notes are arranged in a very accessible way on the fretboard. 2 notes per string, no more than a 3-fret stretch is needed. So, if you get that little finger involved, you can tackle the minor pentatonic scale in any key. And it gets even easier when you start doing it up the fretboard when the frets are smaller. Listen to the power chord style jam that happens with these chords. This is what I opened up the video with. We've got just a little chucking thing happening. And I'm viewing this in the key of A, right? I know that we've got G, D, and A in there, so you might think D, but we're really viewing this A as kind of that home chord, and this G just kind of adds a little bit of spice. And we kind of know it's A once we hit that E, which happened in the little jam. But just know that we're working in the key of A, so your A minor pentatonic scale is going to work out really nicely here. And I think that's another reason why this is a much used and much loved scale from guitarists, because it just works. These 5 notes are going to sound great. Know the key that you're working in, and then play the pentatonic scale of that key, and you're going to get some good mojo happening. Now we're going to have a look at some of those licks from the intro jam, just to put some of this A minor pentatonic scale stuff under your fingers and get the creative juices flowing so that you can do some cool stuff with the scale on your guitar. But to do that, we've got to kind of join this forward pattern and backward pattern concept. Before we do that, though, I want to say that if you're into the 5 box patterns and you got them down and you're practicing them, then great, rock on. I did that a lot in my development as a guitar player, but things didn't quite click for me until I got super simple with it and figured out that I can really only go this way up directionally on the fretboard from the root, or that way. And that to me meant once I knew where the root was, which is really home, and you should always know where that root is, then I've got 2 ways that I can go. Pick one, right? And that to me helped simplify things, and things just started to really come into focus on the fretboard. So that's why I'm sharing that with you. All right, to our example here, we're going to take the forward pattern starting from this A here, 4th string, 7th fret. And remember, when we get to the 2nd string, we got to shift up. And then from here, we're going to build a backward pattern off of this one. We've very quickly run out of frets, but now we've got that plus this. So that gives us this really usable little triangle shape right here between the 8th fret and the 10th fret. Right? That in and of itself, 3 notes, super usable. But we kind of work back down that first forward pattern, and we can tack on these notes. All right, confining ourselves to just this, we can tackle every lick in that intro jam. All right, for these 2 phrases, it really sets up most of the ideas that you'll use to play a solo like this. What we're doing is sliding into our E on the 3rd string, 9th fret, and then jumping up from the G to the A on the second string. So we just kind of set it up with this little statement. And then we switch to the first string, 8th fret, that's our C note, and we're going to do a blues bend here and push that sharp before going back to the A, then the E, and then we're going to climb the B from the 8th fret, that's our G note, up to our root, the A. All right, so the first phrase sounds like this. And we answer it with this, starting up high on the 10th fret, first string. So you can hear we've got a few guitar techniques happening here. We're going to do a bend and then come back to the note, and that's the 10th fret, that D note on the first string. Then back to our C with that push, that bluesy push. And then sort of finish it off with that same little idea. But notice that when I moved into this phrase, I did a rake across strings 3 and 2. Just mute it out with your index finger over those strings. Just having some fun there with the rake, but when you put these two phrases together, it kind of forms a complete thought, kind of like a complete sentence, and it sounds like this. Then we play that opening phrase again. And then we end a little bit differently. Alright, so we're just doing some hammer-ons up from the 8th fret to the 10th fret. So in this case, that's our C up to the D. Pluck the C, and then do that again, but on the second string. And then we end that phrase on the E. And this is where the progression starts to just chug and do that build up, and we simply just kind of work in the scale over that build up. And then from there, what happened in the jam is we just heard these big open chords. Same progression, but there's just more of a strummy feel. And what we're going to do to kind of complement that is open the phrase with the high note. Very similar to what we've done before. We're just starting with that rake. And then we even end that the same. Before basically repeating the first first 4 phrases that we heard in the beginning. All right, rock, blues, you almost can't go wrong with the minor pentatonic scale. And sure, you can make it sound more interesting by, moving fluidly between the octaves and connecting different zones of the fretboard, and maybe even if you're daring, sprinkling in some tones outside of the scale. But the scale itself works. It just sounds good. And if you've enjoyed this lesson and want to go deeper, then check out the Minor Pentatonic Bootcamp course inside the BGI Premium Library. It's just one of the many courses that I offer, and I know that this one can help you. It's a really simplistic view of how to get this scale under your fingers. It is not box pattern based, and we get right to work on making it sound musical. You can check out membership right over here, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, practice smart and play on.